I just want to do one quick little mini vlog. Um, 2 days ago, a day and a half ago, I randomly was like, I'm gonna see if the cut up nutmeg in water, if the oil in it, because this is really oily nut. It's weird. The oil will separate. You know what I'm saying? If what is the water portion, what is the oil portion, what is still solid left? Gonna do an aqueous kind of like examination of it. Sorry. And it was strange though. The night before, at the start of this Lyria meteor shower, I kept seeing stuff in there today, and on my way home, I see that really tell these stories because it's so unsubstantiated with any sort of fact. This is what I saw, but by the area, by the Air Force Base, sort of, and where that place where on the story of how do you call this, the leap year day sighting. I could go at all kinds of weird things, like the food tasted weird and everything was just weird that day. But I saw like fighter jets, and then I saw this weird like shaped thing in the same area by the Air Force Base. It's like this just uninhabited desert, right? I'm driving by and I see this weird column of like smoke, but it's weird because it looks like there's not like any like fire. It's so weird. I don't know how to explain it. It just looks so normal. But at the same time, it looked completely weird because my mind was on this meteor shower, right? And I can't even think if at some point I heard. Oh yeah, no, this is the thing. So I'm driving by that. I'm just like, and I like the leap year day. I'm like, I don't want to take photographs of it. I'm kind of like good, you know what I'm saying? Like, and because I've been doing so much driving, and my mind is a little bit out of place. I put a little bit of this weed topical cream on me, and I was getting so frustrated because it got harder and harder to drive. I was like, fuck this shit. And I was like, I always say I hate weed, but I'm like driving, and it was like funny because it was getting harder to drive, but I'm still like conscientious, right? That's why I didn't take the photograph. But when I got home, Chula Vista, it was so crazy. I saw all of a sudden, I can't believe it. I can't remember if there's this one or what, but all of a sudden there's a completely filled up streak in the sky, like this little tiny like, it's a contrail more or less, if you could say comparable to one contrail, right? But all of a sudden it just appears like this full one, completely thin all the way from the east to the west. And I've seen it before too. I think it's just maybe like, I don't know, the defense system could be right. But yeah, back to the night goes on. I'm getting I'm like, I don't want to drive more. I'm so tired and I'm getting burnt out. But I'm like, I'm gonna try this nutmeg experiment. This story's gonna go on for like fucking an hour and a half if pardon me. But I begin to cut it with like a scissors knife, and then I'm like kind of like peeling off the outer layer because it has mace. Nutmeg has the mace layer, and then it has like an oily nut. And I'm peeling. All of a sudden, it's like, oh shit, this shit got in my hands really bad. And I'm like, whoa, wait, what? I'm like, hey, this shit really absorbs into your hands because it's so oily. And I was like, oh man, I was not ready for it. And it was like, so topically, it felt so like spicy, like I don't explain it. It's fiery but also numbing. And I'm going to get a little wigged out. Maybe I should take a break on this story. But I've heard, I was thinking like, why would nutmeg be like so prized? Because I was explaining in another video, when you eat it, it's like kind of shitty. It's just like it takes so long, and it makes you sleepy. It kind of feels like you're sickened. But this was completely different. This is completely different, and that's why I was freaking out. I was like, oh my god, it felt completely different, more akin to the chemistry that is included in it, because of the phenethylamines or whatever. They're typically the ones that are relatable are stimulants or whatever, or they're not deliriant sedatives. I could keep going. I don't even know. My mouth's getting too dry for this. But it began to get so intense and different than I expected. Where I was getting scared. I was like, oh my god, did I fuck up? And I kind of just cut into it like what the equivalent dose of a nutmeg dose would be for me, a light one. But it hit so different. And yeah, I was like, I forget get into the details of it. But uh basically it's akin to the witches. Why would the witch have the flying broomstick? The flying anointing the broomstick with anointing oil that has why would they do that? It was so insanely strong. I don't want to get into it, but I was like, I finally got what I was looking for, because I want to find. I really love fucking those pathogen type drugs or whatever. How to explain it? But it was so intense, and then all of a sudden, I wanted to do it again. I was like, oh my god. I'm like, oh my god, and I need to cut into it again, whittle away, and it wouldn't work as well. And in fact, it wasn't even working at all. It's like kind of like how the pathogens kind of be, because they have the hallucinogenic quality, or whatever, the serotonin quality. And it was so crazy. I was like, what the fuck just happened? Like, it was so crazy. And yeah, it was like kind of like, you say other drugs have the addictive potential or whatever, where you like fiend for it. But it was weird because it was like, you can't even fiend for it because it's not even there. I was like, fuck. And I was like, just so, my mouth was just open. I'm like, what the fuck just happened, dude? Because it was so intense. It was so intense. I don't explain it. Not even the somatic, like the touching, but all of a sudden it would make my, like, it was affecting my mind too, where I was like, it was so crazy. I was like, what the, and like what I said, I was like scared. I was like, did I just fuck up? It was getting so strong. I was like, oh my god. And then I was like, oh my god, this is why fucking Nutmeg is so prized. And I'm like, what? And then it was a completely different breakthrough, because it made me think about all the sort of like homeopathic and transdermal type, I'm saying, all these different frontiers, so to speak, that aren't really well understood, right? And yeah, but the thing is, it kind of still remained in there. It did have kind of like the delirium quality, but it was not the kind that was like really stony and like long lasting and like not impressive. I was like, what the fuck? It made me completely realize about the connection of it between Nutmeg and Varrola. Varrola is some kind of, it's not even really, I think, even well documented hallucinogenic kind of like resin that's used or something, and people don't even like it because it's really crazy. But I got home and I fell asleep in my car in the front. I didn't want to talk to people. I was kind of pissed off. Me and Patrick got into a fight too, but it was not, it really didn't feel like it was affecting me that much. I was kind of just like stimulated, but I did not want to drive. I was like, I always want to shake back, right? I still drive home, and then I'm in my front yard, and I'm like sleeping in my front yard, and it gets to the level of, whatever, breaking through, sort of, or, something like that. Some sort of trippy level. It was so weird. It was like being in my front yard, and like, I don't know how to explain it. There's this part where a blue jay, like a bird, fucking flew and flipped and like landed on my car. Or I don't know if he dive bombed on it, or he like landing to get something like a bug or something, or what. But he's like right above me, and and I'm like halfway asleep. Boom, and he like flutters off, and like my foot, like, this is why I think that people are like, nah, hell no, it puts you through the ringer. I like did this like weird spasm thing. All of a sudden, my fucking, like, my shoe, the tongue in my shoe is like completely all weird. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? But I'm not even that like freaked out. I'm just like, and I lost some of my shit.